I just want to take a second to talk about DistroKid. DistroKid helps musicians get their music on all the major streaming platforms, and the artists get to keep 100% of their royalties. I will repeat that. The artists get to keep 100% of their royalties. Can you believe that? Anti-Heroes listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/VIP/anti-heroes. Again, that's distrokid.com/VIP/anti-heroes. Hello, folks. Have you ever checked out Jim Dunlop Products or MXR guitar pedals? Well, I think you should. I am a guitar player, lifelong guitar player, professional guitar player. I've always used these products, and they're wonderful people. I would suggest you do the same, from their strings to their picks to their cables to the wonderful line of MXR pedals, the iconic Phase 90 popularized by Eddie Van Halen, the Zakk Wylde lines, the Jim Dunlop Crybabies. The list goes on and on and on. Do yourself a favor, check out what they're doing at jimdunlop.com. Hey there, and welcome to the Anti-Heroes podcast with your host, Zach Blair. I am Zach Blair, and boy, am I excited about today's episode. My guest today is Dan Phillips. Dan is in the fucking mind-blowing band True Widow, but Dan was also previously in a band called Slow Ride. Dan played with the Reverend Horton Heat. Dan played with Ronnie Dawson, the rockabilly legend. Little history. So I grew up in Texas. Dan grew up in Texas, and Dan and I grew up together. It's funny, out of the clear blue, I got a comment on the Apple Podcasts page, of the Anti-Heroes page there on the podcast, saying that you should talk to Dan Phillips of True Widow. That'd be a great episode. Well, whoever you are, I had already been planning on doing that ever since I started this podcast, because Dan's always been one of my favorite players and absolutely one of my favorite people. And you wouldn't think, but given our sort of disparate bands and music backgrounds, that we were as close as we are and that we grew up together. But as you'll hear, so much of our background and so much of our history is intertwined. Some of the best, most creative years of my life were this shared space we talk about, where we had a rehearsal room, we all had bands, we were all in each other's bands, and Dan had a little improvised studio set up, and we would just demo songs. My best friend in the world, Robert Marchant, who plays with the Riverboat Gamblers now, was in Dan's band Slow Ride, which, if you don't know Slow Ride, check out Slow Ride, and you'll hear that Dan has a new band. Dan always has something in the fire, and Dan is a true artist. And what we didn't get to talk about is that Dan is actually a painter, an illustrator. He's done a lot of his own album covers, but he's a furniture designer. This guy just oozes creativity. It just falls out of him, and he's absolutely the real deal. Dan never needed to promote himself in a garish sort of thirsty way. He never had to do, hey, look at me, sort of attention grabs and things like that. He just is. He just makes the music he makes, and people listen because it's that good and because he's that good. It's funny because I see the rest of the world, when I'm touring, I'll see people with True Widow shirts, and they're realizing who Dan Phillips is. And I always feel a little, overwhelmed with joy and pride because I'm so proud of the guy, but also it's like, yeah, I knew before you knew, and now everybody else knows. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you hear my interview with Dan Phillips. Hey.
Hi.
So I've already probably done a big intro, but I did want to say that, I wanted to interview you since we started this, and it's weird to say "quote unquote" interview because we sort of grew up together and we're really close. But
Yeah.
my best friend in the world was in your band, Slow Ride, and so we all kind of grew up together. And you and me, I think the first time I ever laid eyes on you was when you were doing lap steel, or pedal steel for the Reverend Horton Heat,
Yeah.
and you were this kid.
18, probably 19.
Yeah,
18 when I started doing stuff with them.
yeah, which is just crazy. And so I don't know. We just kind of, it's weird. I think, somebody commented on a page for this, podcast. It was like, you should interview Dan Phillips from True Widow. That guy's amazing. Not knowing that we have a real long history together and that we're close because we
Yeah.
come from I guess if the current musical things we're doing are disparate, but we sort of have a background together and everything else. And I was just talking to you about how we had a band together that Slow Ride started taking off and we didn't get to do it, but I ended up doing it called Armstrong, and I never liked what came out as much as the stuff we did together. I really loved playing with you, and
Yeah. I need to listen to that again.
it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And you and my brother had a instrumental band called the Max 7, which he went on to do, and also the stuff you guys did together was so great. I know I'm not asking you questions right now. I'm just sort of
That's all good.
giving you affirmations.
Yeah, I still listen to that Use Your Powers
It's such a good record.
every once in a while. I just listened to it maybe 2 weeks ago.
And so
Yeah.
for anyone that doesn't know, Dan Phillips is my guest. Dan Phillips of True Widow, of Slow Ride, we can't talk about another project that you may or may not be involved in, but Dan Phillips. But also of Mag 7, my brother and Dan had an instrumental band called the Mag 7 that released a few records, one of which is Use Your Powers for Good, Not Evil. Is that the name of the record? It's out there, folks. Go check it out. So I guess to start off, we both grew up in Dallas, and you went to the Arts Magnet High School. Is that correct?
That's right.
I was so jealous of people that got to go to that place. It was like Fame, the movie Fame, where it was like talented kids. God damn. And everybody that came out of that school at that age was like yourself and Matt the Cat Hillier and Todd Deathridge, just all good friends and all really, really, really talented people. And I remember actually seeing you. You had started Slow Ride with Rob and thinking, man, this kid is, I say kid, you're what, 3 years younger than me?
I don't know. I don't know how old you are.
Thinking of how talented you were and are and your approach to guitar playing. We'll get right into a little bit of gear, but maybe because of your background with that style of music, you played like hollow body guitars, like Gretsch guitars and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you still do that with True Widow, or where are you at there?
No, but I have a new band where I do play. I use the Gretches, and it's more of that style guitar playing. So I'm like full circle back to it. But
Oh,
yeah, True Widow can't use the hollow bodies, like the low tunings and stuff, and the Bigsby can't handle it.
are you
For
still
one,
using the L6S?
yeah, I have three of them.
See, I think that's so cool. And I
It's the
talked to
best guitar going, man.
that era of 70s Gibson guitars where there was like the Marauder and the Sonex. And I was just talking,
Yeah,
I don't know how these episodes are going to pan out, but I talked to Vaden Lewis from Toadies, and he also has an
yeah, he
L6S.
has one.
And he's, super into. But I remember you had that black L6S. You've had that thing forever.
I had it before it was even mine. My dad, I guess he bought it at Zoo Music back in the day. And when I was 10, I wanted to start playing guitar, and I knew that guitar was in the attic, so I just brought it out downstairs, and it's like, I want to learn to play guitar, and like, still playing that guitar.
Wow.
And 38 years playing that guitar. And then with True Widow, there's several tunings, or three main tunings, and I had a SG, the one that we had in common. And didn't you buy that guitar for me at one point?
I think I did.
Yeah, and I got it back at some point, and then someone stole it, but or the van got broken into. But the tone on the SG and any other guitar was just so drastically different. So if we started next song in the set and I grabbed different guitars, it'd be like not at all the right tone. Then I had two L6, so I could have just like keep the tuning on one. I also don't want to be fucking tuning the guitar in the middle of the set.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, I have 3 of them. I have 2 black ones and 1 like tobacco burst,
Wow.
and different tuning on each. You just swap them out for the songs.
I think that's so cool because at the time they were like Gibson's budget guitar because they were bolt on and all that stuff. But are they bolt on?
The version, I have the first version.
Yeah.
There's 3 versions of them. The first one is really the only good one, and it's not a bolt on.
Oh, maybe I might be wrong. You know what? The Marauder. I'm so sorry. The Marauder
No,
wasn't bolt on.
I think maybe even the second and third. I know the third one is a bolt on.
No shit.
The second version might be too.
Okay.
I looked at a Gibson book one time, and they were like, the L6 is in the chapter of like flops and duds, and I'm like, not true.
Not true. Not true. Well, and that Sonex was like it was made out of some carbon fiber. It wasn't even wood, so you could like the neck. You could like bend the neck way.
What? That's stupid.
Isn't that crazy? But
Sounds like a mess.
yeah, but they did a bunch of weird shit. But that L6S, man, what a cool guitar. And I've always, I thought of you. I've thought of that guitar. But you also had that Dwayne Eddy, right? Was it Dwayne Eddy or
Yeah,
it was the Dwayne Eddy?
that's a Dwayne. It has like a brass nut. That's by the strings, right?
Yeah.
Or the tuners.
Yeah.
It's got a brass nut and really loud pickups, super twangy. It's a really cool guitar, and it looks badass.
It does look badass. I remember you doing that with Slow Ride, which if anybody uninitiated, check out Dan's previous band, A True Widow, Slow Ride. Stylistically very different, but gives the breadth of Mr. Dan Phillips. I remember using that guitar with another piece of gear of yours that I have, a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, that rack mount, which I still have.
Oh, nice.
I got it from you, goddamn, I want to say, I have that, and you have your cabinet, that tweed front, like Mesa cabinet, or not tweed front, it was just a brown group.
Yeah.
I still have both of those in my space.
I like that amp a lot.
It's a great amp.
I would like tune it so it sounded like just a huge super reverb, like ultimately. And part of that is because I kept blowing through tubes, so I just have to like switch it because if I do this, it'll work still. Mm-hmm. So I kind of kept changing.
If you ever want it back, I still got it for you.
I'm good.
Well, I remember back then it was like a compound. It was just a musical. It was a bunch of projects happening. There was Slow Ride. There was the early larval stages of True Widow happening. There was Max 7 with you and my brother. There was Armstrong with me and you and my brother. There was so much going on. And then you had your own studio space there. So you were constantly in there recording just ideas. And it was just such a cool creative space and environment. I remember that's all we did. We were guys we all used to go out and do stuff. And then quickly we started culminating in this one zone and making art. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
It was great.
Great time.
Great times and great demos. And you were making great sounding stuff. I think you were you had those like ADATs and you were just making.
Yeah.
If we had an idea for a song, we would just go in and record it, and it always sounded pretty good,
I still use those things.
That sounds.
And
good.
actually, like, I have them because Idol gave us like a budget to do that Mag 7 record, the Use Your Powers one. Mm-hmm. We're like, well, instead of going to the studio, let's buy this kit. And it was like literally a huge cardboard box with a mixer, one ADAT, some speakers, just the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we're like, we'll just get this and learn how to use it and make the record that way. And then got a second ADAT, a bigger board, and then we took all that to Matt Pence, and he mixed it. Yeah, that's when I got that thing. I got that thing so we could record the Mag 7 record at the warehouse you're talking about. And still, I pulled it out the other day. I still use it. Still have all those VHS tapes. Got
Amazing.
your tapes. Got all Slow Ride demos, True Widow demos.
There was a skate ramp there and a T-shirt printer and a T-shirt press. It was such a cool. I value that time so much because creatively, like all of us, I think just we were able to have a facility for it, and a place to, because we were young, so we had 1,000 ideas happening all at once,
Yeah, it's like the little clubhouse.
Totally. And if you any given time, you just pull up, and everybody would already be there, like in the middle of a demo recording. But that Mag 7 record sounds amazing, and it's
Man, that sounds badass.
it sounds badass. And I think you're right. I think my brother was teaching bass lessons at Mars.
Yeah, there was some. I think he had a discount, which
He had
was
a
like,
discount.
made it even better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he was like teaching bass lessons once a week or something like that.
yeah,
I don't remember, but it's funny because True Widow has had such legs, and being a guy that likes heavy music, I mean, you can't. True Widow is not a metal band, but it's not totally a shoegaze band. It's not a post-punk band or a post-hardcore band. It just is True
band.
Widow. It's just a band. It's just True Widow. But on a label like Relapse, which was predominantly known for sort of loud, aggressive,
Right.
metal influence or metal music. And it's funny being a guy that still likes heavy music, traveling the world, seeing True Widow things. It has such legs. People love it so much. And I think it's because of your approach and originality and your take on things that because I know you and know that signature so well.
Yeah,
It's so funny when people because it's real fans, and you're just like, and every time I see it,
that's
it makes me
crazy.
so. I know it's like it makes me so proud of you, and like I feel like almost like well I knew before you knew, you know what I mean? They're a huge fan.
Yeah.
I knew who this guy was. So what was the actual initial idea to start True Widow? What was your thought process with that? Because I know you had Slow Ride and everything was happening there.
Honestly, like I'd moved away to Boston, and I was like over it with having a band. I was like, gonna go do furniture school up there. This is like 2005, and I don't know. I had that 8-at rig with me, and I just, like I didn't want to have like a band anymore. Nope, like touring, sold the band. Not that I, well, anyway, I'm just over it. I'm just like I just make some music because I want to, because I like never gonna stop writing songs and doing stuff. So I had a drum machine, and I just made some tracks in my living room, and there's a lot of the songs that are on the first True Widow album. And Slim, he came up to visit me or something, and I played to them for him, and he was like, he loved it. So when I moved back to Dallas, I was like, I would like to hear this like in real life, not me in the drum machine. Slim was still working at a print shop, and there was a drum set there. Slim had never played drums in a band or drums, and I was like, you can keep time, let's just play. I want to hear these songs, and he can keep time. So it's like kick, snare, ride cymbal.
Right.
So then that sounded cool, and so they were like, oh, what about bass with female vocals? So because I always just like bucket list want to have a band like that, like guitar, bass, drums, male vocal, female vocal, just like those 5 elements.
Yeah.
And so I met Nicole through a mutual friend. I gave her my CDR of the demos I had made in Boston, and we started jamming. And the whole time we're like, no shows, just want to just play in here and not have to think about any of that stuff. Then it was like, well, this sounds cool. Let's get the 8-ats out, record some demos.
Yeah.
And then I gave them to Rob, and Rob's roommate was Jonathan Gill. And the next thing I know, Jonathan's calling me, you want to do this in a studio? I was like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
right.
But the whole thing is like, just like an accident that it became an actual thing.
Right.
So
I think all those elements is what added weight to it, though, because the songs are so good. But I think it's the fact that Slim wasn't a drummer, so there's not a bunch of clutter. There's not a bunch of tom fills.
no
There's
fills.
no. It's just drums. It's just what you need
Yeah.
in that department, and it adds such weight to the riffs. And there's a lot of air in the riff as well,
Yeah.
But you're able to really feel every note because there's so much space between, because he's not filling it in.
Those tunings, they're so low, so the strings, they'll resonate. There's a lot of open notes going on, so they can just resonate. And then with the the Echoplexes, picking that stuff up. And the reason I started tuning the guitar low is because I got so fucking bored with regular tuning.
Yeah.
Like the last Slow Ride record is when I started tuning stuff down. So like the song Morals and Dogma is the same tuning, the main tuning of all the True Widow stuff. Once I started tuning down, like the guitar got fun again. Like I had to relearn how to play all new chords,
Right.
all new fingering. So like you could play all those songs on a regular guitar, they won't sound the same. But it's it's just pop formulas mostly.
Right.
But since it's tuned crazy, the chords are inverted and it's lower.
Yeah.
So I mean, like if you played it 45 on 33, it might just sound like a regular old song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It adds so much weight to it. It's weird. It's like any time I pick up a guitar that's in an alternate tune or even drop D, or especially like a baritone guitar or whatever, it does take you out of your comfort zone to where I think it just inspires creativity,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like it got fun again, exploratory, and like most of the chords are like just two fingers and like.
Right.
Anyway, it like opened up a whole thing.
That's so cool.
And like the chord voicings of like a piano, it's just different, Can't really do bar chords.
And I think it was to great effect because you could tell you were having a rebirth creatively with that first record and on, it sounds like this is sort of a creative wellspring for you. Because Slow Ride was a brilliant band and genius, but these are such, stylistically different bands. But to me, they still sound like you, because I know your thing, Yeah.
Yeah, I listened back. I especially like the second Slow Ride album. That's my favorite. The first one is hard for me to listen to. It's sort of obviously like Jawbreaker worship. But by the time the second one felt more like myself with it,
Coming into your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the best of us, the people that they definitely, you can hear their influences, where they're coming from, but then they have their own voice of it. I think the worst of us are the ones that just take their influences and they just sort of do a carbon copy of cut and paste. Like, that sounds exactly like this. But, if it was like, let's say Relapse, which is the label that puts out True Widow, if there's a Relapse comp and I listen to and there's 100 bands on it, I'm going to hear the first note and know it's you.
Yeah.
And so you've always had that very discernible approach, and it's just your taste level is elevated. So you mentioned you have a new band. So what's that? I'm pretty sure I know, but
again, started very casually. It's called Bad Stuff. So Nicole is in the band, but she plays the drums. Again, has never played drums in a band. Jackie, my lady, plays synth and sings. Our friend Laura plays the bass. She's never played bass in a band. I just play guitar and it's sort of, 60s rockabilly crampsy. And our friend Gabe sings a few songs and plays maracas. But yeah, it's kind of like a trashy, cramps, garagey.
that's great.
We just recorded, we have to mix it, but so.
I believe you turned my brother onto the Cramps, and now they've been his favorite band ever since. They are such a genius. Such a genius.
Oh man,
band.
I love the Cramps.
So that's an interesting thing. So this is just an observation, but you are such an accomplished musician, accomplished guitar player. You tend to surround yourself in bands with novice musicians or first-time musicians. And is that an intended thing, or is it just something you happen to,
I'll say yes and no.
Yeah.
I like hearing that naivete.
Yeah.
I like mess ups. Mostly it's like I like these people.
Sure.
I'm like, I like you. You should play the bass.
Right.
I mean, I did that when I was a little kid too. Like I said, I started playing guitar when I was 10, and all my neighborhood skate friends, Christmas was coming up, and I was like, Seth, you get a guitar. Neil, you get a bass. Andrew, you get some drums for Christmas. And they all did. And then, I'm like, all right, we got a band.
Right.
Anyway, to answer your question, yeah, I don't know. I like the looseness of it. Accomplished musicians are hard for me because it's just doing too much shit. And,
It's true.
And it sounds kind of boring.
It's true though.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true because I love music and I love listening to bands, and I've never once been with a band I like I can tell this drummer knows how to play drums.
Right.
I've never thought that way. But for me, I like that loose sort of, I don't know what I'm doing sound.
Well, it keeps you on your toes, and you never know. Like every set's different. You never know what's going to go, and I think that is for guys like you and me. It's like without a net. You know, you never.
Yeah.
There is something that's so sort of sterile about. Okay, you know this. You're going to land this plane. It's going to be a perfect set. These guys are good. It's like that's not fun so much. I like being on stage too, wondering where it's going to go, what's going to happen. You know.
Yeah, I have never played a show where I didn't mess up. You know,
I don't,
ever.
man. I would like to see the musician that has played that show, though. You know what I mean? Like, and if you have, then chances are you're a boring motherfucker anyway.
Right?
You know what I mean? I've never had a perfect show in my life, but then those moments are the ones when you come off stage, you're like, oh shit, I tanked this one part. But it's like you remember.
I've never been mad either. Like Slim. There's one song we have. I can't remember which one it is, but like we all know the part that he's probably gonna mess up, and he knows it too. So like get like psyched out and we're like, don't look at him, because if we look, it's gonna make it for sure. He's gonna do it.
Yeah.
But then blow it, and then we just stop and start over. Have a laugh about it, you know.
And and the crowd, that's the moment they remember too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Since two of my guitars are black, one I think we were playing with. We opened for Unwound, and like the bottom strings or the three thicker strings. I don't know which one is the top or bottom. They're the same on both guitars, but then the light strings are different. And I have different straps so I can know which one is which. And I grabbed the wrong one. We start playing a song, and I'm like getting through it. I'm like, something is not right. And I like look up, and like Nicole and Slim are just like staring at me. Like I was like, and I look down and I look at the strap, and I was like, oh shit. So like we're like a minute into the song. I was just like stopped, get on the mic. I was like, got the wrong guitar. Start over.
Sorry.
Like, no,
Yeah, well, it's great.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. What are you supposed to do? It's just fucking music. It's funny. I also play drums. You also play drums.
Yeah. It's the most fun instrument in the band.
It really is. It really is. And I think, shit, I remember going to the warehouse and just when no one was there, and I would just play whoever's drums, usually Steve Isnew's or Scott Brayfield's or whoever's drum set was set up, and I would just sit there and play for like hours. But I played True Widow records because it's just keeping time, and you can really play a fill or whatever you want to do, and so I find I'll play through an entire True Widow record. I do that all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. Does True Widow have anything coming up?
Nothing on the books. We were supposed to play in September. Slim had something going on last minute, so we didn't play. I would like to make another record. I know everybody wants to. I have 7 to 10. I have a lot of it written.
Yeah.
And this would likely be the last one. I do want to make another one. I want it to be like really good. So,
yeah, I'm sure.
And there's no pressure from the label or anything. They're like, whatever, Yeah. I think our last record came out like 6 years ago or something. But we can tour, but it'd be fun to do it again with like a fresh, new batch of songs.
Yeah.
We'll do another record, and I know we'll tour regardless.
When you say it might be the last one, with any premeditation for that, or you just kind of like feeling like it's the end?
Can't really say. But
okay.
When I say likely, it's likely.
Gotcha.
But Slim's going to cut his hands off in 2030, so.
Would you think that your other band might get a little busier, or is that just for a fun thing?
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to, but don't have to. It's not the MO. But
sure.
We maybe have played 10 shows. Super casual, but ended up getting into the studio again. Not the plan, but
right. Well, that's the thing about you. You've always been such an artist and such a musician. You've always done it. There's people that say, "Oh, I do it for the love of it," and there's not too many people that actually do. And you've always been the type of person, the type of artist, type of musician that really did it because you loved it and because it just came out of you. You're just good at music. It already sort of came out of your hands. And then you sort of sat back and waited for it to come to you. And if it did, cool. And if it didn't, you were still going to go to that room and we were all going to jam and you were going to have a cool, fucking amazing song and come up with some cool band or project. And inevitably, it came to you because it always is so good. And I always admired the hell out of that. I always admired that about you. It's like, man, that dude just is, he's so good at what he does that people will come to him. You know, you're just going to sit back and wait. And if it doesn't, you're perfectly okay. It's the journey. It wasn't the end result, you know.
Yeah. That's kind of the deal. Like when Slow Ride, you know, we spent so many years like trying to like, you know, like kind of chase this down and like, Slow Ride, I don't know how successful a band that was. I mean, we did some tours, we had some records, but it never, you know, didn't really do the thing. This is what I mean when I was like, I'm quitting like the band thing. It's like, I don't want any of that on my plate. I just want to just like do this. And like, the funny thing is like the moment I remove that sort of gonna try to make it thing is when it happened.
Yeah.
Made it, whatever. But
sure.
Stopped paying attention to that part, and then it just sort of snowballs out of my control.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember, speaking of that, I remember telling somebody that was just in passing. They said that, man, I'm really into this band, True Widow. And I remember talking to them about our shared history and our past and everything. And it was really hard not to say, I told you so, you know, or to the world of like, yeah, I knew that gradually people were going to catch on to who this guy was and what he does and his approach. And yeah, like, again, you know, I was just really proud of you, you know.
Thanks, Zach.
Of course, buddy. Like everybody's favorite musician in Dallas became internationally people's best kept secret and favorite musician, you know.
Yeah.
I think this same person was like super hipster and like, oh, the guy in Rise Against knows the dude in True Widow. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
It's totally true.
Though.
Totally true. Yeah. Well, anyway, Matt, well, I won't keep you too much longer. You know, I'll ask you because I ask everybody, but I might know this. But do you have a piece of gear or a guitar or anything that has gotten stolen or you hawked or you got rid of? And I was trying to rack my brain because I thought I remembered something, but what do you got?
Well, the Slow Ride van, we got home from a tour and I parked the van in front of my dad's house and his wife came out in the morning, was leaving to go to work like before the sun came up and she's like, comes in and it's like, the van. I was like, uh-oh. We walk out, the back's open. They stole all Steve's drums, the bass. They took as much as they could get. Tried to take the whole van, like the steering column was all fucked up. But miraculously, that SG was in there, but my L6S, they somehow missed it.
Amazing.
Like, so I still have it. That SG I had since I was a little kid too. Like I bought it new, like at 89 or something.
All right.
Do I have anything I've gotten rid of that I wish I hadn't?
I thought maybe you had. I mean, well, there's that Mesa Boogie half stack that you got rid of that to me.
Yeah.
There's that.
I keep stuff, you know, like
you do.
Like the rig I play now, like the Fender amps and what, like I played that in Slow Ride, and I played it with Ronnie Dawson. I played it the same setup that I've been playing for fucking since the 90s.
Yeah.
After the Mesa, whatever, just went back to the Fenders.
Yeah.
And I had a Jazzmaster. I hated it.
I remember that.
I'm a Gibson.
Yeah.
Guy.
Was that a red Sparkle Jazzmaster?
It might have been Sparkle.
It was red, though.
It was red.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was okay, but it just, I don't know.
Now, your Fender, you do have two twins, and they're...
It's a super reverb and a Blues DeVille.
Blues DeVille, that's right.
Like from that I bought in like it said 1995 on it.
All right.
The super I got at a pawn shop on Greenville.
Uh-huh.
Says Silver Face. Anyway, Yeah, Fender 410 amp,
Didn't you use an Echoplex as well?
I have two Echoplex, one on each amp.
That's right.
I go into like a splitter. So like the Super is more of the low end, and the Blues DeVille more brighter side of things, and then different settings of the Echoplexes for each one. So it's just this kind of big spread out sound.
And so to go through your pedals, I was wrapping it up, but shit, I forgot to talk about all this. So to go through your pedals a bit, what are you using pedal wise right now?
No pedals.
No pedals.
No pedals. Well, the splitter is that Bones ABY.
Right.
That's my only pedal.
So where does your any fuzz or distortion come from?
From the guitar and
No
the amp. Like the L6S is really loud, like really hot, and you can really nuance it. They're really like responsive. So if I want something to fucking blast, I just hit harder.
Right.
So, but then you can just back right off.
Yeah.
Play something really quiet.
Does the blues?
Yeah, no pedals.
Does the Blues DeVille break up at all?
Yeah.
It does. It does. Right.
I mean,
yeah.
mine does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It breaks up different. Like the Super breaks up like you think it will.
All right.
Because it's a vintage amp. The Blues DeVille, it sounds good, especially for the way I'm using it with using it as the high part of the EQ or whatever.
Sure. Well, your tone has always been great, and that's interesting to know that you're not using anything because, I guess by and large, True Widow would be considered a quote-unquote heavy band, but to know that you're not using any sort of a fuzz or a big muff or anything, you might be the only band on Relapse Records that are using just Fender combo amps, and no pedals. Yeah, no pedals, no distortion. Yeah, but you hit on something there. You did keep your gear. Holy shit, you were using the same fucking stuff. And, that's also, I talked about it a little bit, you playing with the Reverend Horton Heat, but you did play with Ronnie Dawson. You do have sort of a foothold. Your sort of start was in the rockabilly, sort of country and that sort of world, which I think has sort of informed your playing because you still see that some. You still use your fingers as well with your pick and stuff. You have a lot of stuff like that as well. Which I remember watching you do that back then, and that shit at the time was beyond me. I was like, holy shit, he's using his fingers too, Because I just...
he can play two parts on a guitar,
Yeah. You've always been able to do that very well. You had a great hold on that, man. Well, anyway, I digress. Man, Dan, you have children, and I don't want to keep you for too much of your life.
They stayed up late, and they're still asleep, so...
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, it's a holiday today. Well, hell, man, thank you so much for doing this. Again, I've been meaning to reach out since I started this thing, but I figured... since we're close, I was like, we'll get to it. You know what I mean? But I'm really glad we did get to it, and it's always great to see you.
Well, thank you, Zach. This is fun. I never get to talk about this specifically, so.
I appreciate you letting me be your first, because I'd probably just punish you and talk about this shit when I see you next time anyway.
Yeah, we'll have the same combo.
Well, I'm glad we have a history, and I'm glad we were still continuing our journey together, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right.
I just love how this whole season is shaping up. I love all my seasons, but this one's really making me happy. I love talking to Dan, and I'm ashamed that I haven't talked to Dan in a while. I live in Austin, and Dan lives in Dallas. It's only 3 hours, but he's a busy guy, and I'm a busy guy. But that's a very, very close person to me. That's a very important person in my own journey as a musician. I learned so much from Dan, just being around Dan. And what I learned was it's a masterclass in originality. Stay true to yourself. Dan always stayed true to himself. He never did anything anyone else's way. He's incapable of doing that. From his gear choices, to his guitar playing, to his singing, to his songwriting. He has his influences, and he'll tell you some of them, you go, oh, I hear that. But then he does just his own Dan Phillips thing to it and makes it all himself. He could not be someone else if he tried. He's just 1,000 gajillion% Dan Phillips, and man, we're lucky for that. Here at the end, I'm going to leave you with just a wonderful example of Dan's playing and songwriting. I'm going to choose the first song off the first True Widow record. It's just titled True Widow. Another great friend of mine, John Gill, put it out on his In Sounds record label. This is all family. It's all family. So it really has a soft spot. I remember it coming out, and I remember hearing this song. It's called AKA. It's the first song. The riff is amazing. It's a mood, this song. This song's just a mood. True Widow were a mood. They put me in a different mood, I'll tell you that. And it's a good one. I'm going to thank everyone at Jim Dunlop and MXR Pedals here at the end. Find out what they're doing at jimdunlop.com. I'm also going to thank the folks over at DistroKid for helping the musicians get their stuff on the streaming platforms. I'm going to thank you for listening to that episode. I'm so happy you guys keep coming and showing up. And I'll keep doing them for you. And I'll talk to you soon.